We ready? All right. Mr. President, elected officials, honored guests, and friends, on behalf of the city of Lake Charles in southwest Louisiana, we are honored and very excited to welcome you, President Clinton, to this outstanding Northrop Grumman facility and to the greatest community in this place, right? No matter where you go, I can assure you that the citizens of Lake Charles in southwest Louisiana are the finest, most energetic, most community-spirited people you'll ever meet. This is truly a historic and momentous day for Lake Charles, as this is the first time a sitting president has visited our city. Your visit, Mr. President, is a tribute to the joint efforts of everybody here to make Lake Charles the best it can be. Our city's motto, and indeed our way of life here, is Lake Charles, moving forward together. That means that this is the community where people work together as a team: business, labor, students, educators, young people, seniors, elected officials, and people from all backgrounds. This is a community where people have a can-do attitude, where we don't talk, all right. We don't talk about the future, we're making the future for our families and our future generations. Your presence here today says to you, President Clinton and Lake Charles are moving forward together. It's now my privilege to introduce a great friend to all of us, a man who is widely recognized and the highly influential force in the United States Senate, a man who loves Lake Charles in southwest Louisiana, our own Senator John Breaux. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Mayor Willie Mound. Is anybody here from Calcasieu Parish? Is anybody here from Louisiana? Is anybody here going to vote for President Clinton's re-election? And one final question, is he going to win? We are all deeply honored. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, Louisiana. 4 years ago, our president was right here in Lake Charles, and he said that if he were given the opportunity to serve, that things would get better, and they have gotten better, and they're better today than they were. And I want to say to all of you that the only way his opponent, Bob Dole, can be a winner is to convince all of you that you're losers. And you are not losers, and because of this administration, we are all better today. And I want to ask someone now to come up, that if we're going to continue this type of leadership the next 4 years, I need someone in the United States Senate, and President Clinton needs someone in the United States Senate who's going to continue this growth and opportunity and more jobs, and that person is your next United States Senator, Mary Landrieu.
Hello, Lake Charles, and hello, Calcasieu Parish, and hello, Southwest Louisiana. To everyone out here, and particularly the children that got to come out today, this race is about our future. It's about working together for good jobs, more than minimum wage jobs. The president has done an excellent job with the administration to to bring good jobs to Lake Charles, to Southwest Louisiana. Our job rate is up, our unemployment rate is low, interest rates are low, and we're on the rebound because it takes good leadership in Washington and in the state of Louisiana and locally. I want to tell you that I'm going to be a strong partner for progress with John Breaux and to follow on the heels of a great senator, Senator Bennett J. Johnston. Jay Bennett has done a wonderful job. I've got my hat, he's got his, and Jay Starr, we're going to be there for you. More jobs for Lake Charles, more jobs for Louisiana. I thank you very much, and let me introduce you to one of the senators that made it all possible, Jay Bennett Johnston.
Well, after 24 years, I'm going to hang it up. But I want to tell you, I feel good about leaving because Mary Landrieu is going to be in my place. And she's going to be a partner, not an opponent, with John Breaux. And she's going to serve under President Bill Clinton. Now, Mr. President, we are very grateful for a number of things today. First, I want to tell you, you and your administration has supported us all the way with J-Stars and the 1,400 jobs that we have here in Lake Charles, and for that we say thank you. And Mr. President, we're also grateful because you have met with Kent Kressa, who's the CEO of Northrop Grumman, just today, and you have agreed to work with us to get NATO to buy J-Stars, and that's another 700 jobs, and for that we say thank you. And Mr. President, the national economy is better than it has ever been in all the 24 years I've been in the United States Senate, and for that we say thank you. And the Louisiana's economy is better than it has been for 24 years, and for that we say thank you. And Mr. President, you've helped us get the oil industry going out in the Gulf of Mexico by backing our royalty relief bill, which has gotten us back-to-back the biggest lease sales we've ever had out there, and it's booming in the Gulf, and for that we say thank you. And finally, Mr. President, we want to thank you for being the President of the United States who has visited Louisiana more than any president in the history of the United States, and for that we say thank you. And one more word. We want to especially thank you, Mr. President, because we know in the next 4 years, when you are serving as our president, you will not forget Louisiana, you'll not forget Lake Charles, you will not forget J-Stars, you will be with us, and for that we say thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you the man who heads up this great enterprise called Northrop Grumman that builds the highest technology airplane on the face of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome Kent Kressa, CEO of Northrop Grumman.
Hey, that's right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. I'm delighted that everyone could come out here to Northrop Grumman. I wish that you could all see these airplanes in action as the President had when he was over in Bosnia just recently. But you've done a tremendous job, all of you, not only the people here at Northrop Grumman, but also all of you in the community who have supported us, who have made it possible to move forward together. I can say that the President and I did speak together. He is a great supporter of Joint Stars, and he understands the importance of this system
not only today, but in the future. But the success of Joint Stars is also a tribute to the thousands of men and women right here in Louisiana and elsewhere in this company who are working on this really important defense program. It really gives me great pleasure to present one of those individuals, Jamie Lowe, who will have the honor of introducing President Clinton. After 9 years in the aircraft industry and 2 layoffs from similar positions at other firms, Jamie found that to get employment, she needed further technical training. As a single mother with 2 children, this was no simple task. She used all forms of available federal aid, including welfare. With a lot of hard work, she was able to complete a 2.5-year program at Sewella Technical School right here at Chenault Industrial Park. And this training prepared her for the job she now holds as an assembly inspector here at Northrop Grumman. Jamie's determination and work ethic is typical of hundreds of other employees at Northrop Grumman who have graduated from Sewella and other similar institutions elsewhere. And as a chairman of this company, I'll only say thank you, Sewella, for having so many great employees that we can draw on. The men and women of Northrop Grumman, all 47,000 of us, are proud to have her represent us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Jamie Lowe.
Hello. I'm here to tell my little story about how I got here. I'm an employee at Northrop Grumman, and I'm proud to be here. I'm happy to speak with you and tell my story. After I was laid off twice in this industry, it was hard to find work without furthering my education as a aviation mechanic, inspector. And so I went to school. I went to school for a couple of years, and I acquired my airframe ticket, and it enabled me to hire on here at Northrop Grumman. And to get that, I had to use all the available programs that there were, so to fund it, so I could go to school undistracted and without the burden of a job, and I could spend all my time on my school and get that ticket in my pocket. And I'm honored to be here. It's my great privilege, and I'm really happy to be able to introduce the President of the United States, Mr. Bill Clinton.
Hello. Hello, Louisiana. Hello, Lake Charles. Thank you. Let's give a hand to the bands over here. Thank you for the music. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me way in the back there? Thank you. Can you hear me over by the school buses? Somebody up here can hear real well. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be back in Lake Charles. I did not know until I came up on this platform that I'm the first sitting president in history to visit your community. All I can say is, if the others had seen what I see here today, they'd have been here a long time ago. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank Senator Bennett Johnson for his career, for his service to Louisiana and to the country. I will miss him very much. But you know, he was having a good time up here. I think he's enjoying this retirement. Thank you, John Breaux, for being my friend and supporter and for a great leader for Louisiana. Thank you, Congressman Cleo Fields and Congressman Bill Jefferson, for being here. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Kathleen Blanco, Treasurer Ken Donaldson, Insurance Commissioner Jim Brown, Agriculture Commissioner Bob Odom. Thank you all. Thank you, Police Jury President Alan August. I know that there were speaking here earlier for the congressional candidates, Hunter Lundy and Chris John. As a Democrat, I like this Louisiana system finally, because we have two people in our party running for the congressional seat here. Congratulations to the voters here in this crowd. I want to say a special word of thanks to Mayor Willie Mount for her leadership of this community and for what she said about Lake Charles and your motto, moving forward together. I want to say a little more about that in a minute, but you made us feel very welcome here today, Mayor, and we thank you. I want to thank my good friend Mary Landrieu for running for the Senate, and thank her for embracing and sharing the ideals that we're trying to create for America in the 21st century, and I hope every one of you will help her to help you in the United States Senate in January. Let me thank Kent Cressa, the CEO of Northrop Grumman, and Jamie Lowe, and also I'd like to thank Stanley Leger, the director of the Sewella Tech College, for giving Jamie the education, the opportunity, and so many others the opportunity to learn the skills they need to get good jobs for the 21st century. Let's thank all three of them. Let me say, I want to ask you to do one other thing. I ask Jamie Lowe, every place I go, I ask a citizen to introduce me. And the reason we do that is because I want the American people, the young people here in this audience, those of you who are registered voters, to understand every day that there is a connection between what we do a long way away in Washington and how you live in Lake Charles. And the decisions we make together shape the future we have together. But that's the first speech Jamie Lowe ever made, and she had to make it to over 20,000 people to introduce the president. Let's give her another hand. I think she did a remarkable job. I want to thank all of you here at Northrop Grumman who work on the J-STARS program. I did see it in action in Bosnia. Last month, our Department of Defense decided to acquire 19 more J-STARS for the United States Air Force, and we are trying to persuade our NATO allies to buy them for NATO. This morning, the NATO Military Committee agreed that we need an air surveillance system. Now it's my job to tell them what air surveillance system we need, the J-STARS, and I'll do my best. In 1992, I came here to Lake Charles and had a town meeting. And I told you if you'd give me a chance to create more opportunity, create more responsibility among the American people, and bring us together more, we'd be better off in 4 years. There were 100 people working at Northrop Grumman in 1992. There are 1,400 people working here today, and that story is repeated all across America as 10.5 million more Americans are at work, more than half of them in higher wage jobs. America's on the right track to the 21st century. We've got a 15-year high in home ownership, a 20-year low in child poverty. We've got drops in the crime rate and 2 million people fewer on welfare. This country is moving in the right direction. I want to talk to you a little bit today about some of the things we need to do. And let's start with Jamie Lowe. Most of the people in America who get on welfare do not want to stay on it forever. They want to get off and go to work. They want to succeed at home and at work, the same thing most families want in America. We have worked hard with states to reduce the welfare rolls, and I signed a new welfare reform bill which requires every state and every community to turn the welfare check of every able-bodied person in America into a paycheck within 2 years. That's exactly what we're going to do with more people like Jamie Lowe. One thing we've done is to make more absent parents pay their child support. We've increased by 50% the child support collections in only 4 years. Think of it, we've gone from $8 to $12 billion a year in just 4 years, and we're going to do better in the next 4. We can move 800,000 people off welfare tomorrow if people would just pay the child support they owe and they're legally bound to pay, and we intend to see that it is done. But we also know that we have to create jobs if we want people to take them. That means where there are jobs available, like those here at Northrop Grumman for people like Jamie, there must be education and training. That's why the Tech College here deserves a lot of support. We intend to continue to support people with more investments in the education of the American workforce. I want to make it easier for people to go back to work and get the education and training they need. I have asked Congress to pass a new GI Bill for America's workers, to create a skills grant worth over $2,000 a year to every unemployed and grossly underemployed person in the country, so everybody can go back and get the kind of training that Jamie had. And I hope you'll support me in that as we try to build our bridge to the 21st century. I have offered the American people a specific plan to move another 1 million folks from welfare to work by giving special tax credits, bonuses to businesses to place people in work, by allowing local communities to actually give the welfare check to employers for a while as a job supplement to train people on the job. Folks, we do not have to have a welfare system where half the people are trapped in dependency forever. We can move all the people who are able-bodied from welfare to work and make them a part of America's mainstream society if we're committed to doing it together. If we're going to make people go to work, we've got to create those jobs out there for people to have. I hope you'll help me to create those jobs and change welfare forever. I'd like to say a special word of thanks here in Louisiana to the Goodwill Job Connection. They have worked very hard here and in Florida to move 1,500 people from welfare to work. In Louisiana, 80% of them are still off welfare after 2 years. I'm telling you, folks, don't believe we can't change the welfare system. We can change it forever and for good, and we'll have every American in the mainstream working, raising their children, being part of one society, not having some isolated forever and trapped in poverty. If you will help us, and we decide to do it together in every community of America. Will you do that? My fellow Americans, this is an important election, and you have to decide. The people you vote for and the decision you make whether to vote will determine what kind of future the children in this audience have. The kids here today, before you know it, they'll be doing jobs that haven't been invented yet. A lot of these young kids will be doing jobs that have not even been imagined yet. The world is changing rapidly. You will decide whether we balance our budget and keep our economy going. What do we do it without gutting our commitment to the future through education and environmental protection? Whether we do it without undermining the commitments of Medicare and Medicaid. You will decide whether we have targeted tax cuts to help families educate their children and raise them and buy a first home and deal with medical emergencies. You will decide. That's a big part of building a bridge to the 21st century. And I hope you will decide, yes, that's the way we have to build that bridge. Will you do that? You will decide whether we continue to support policies that help our families succeed at home and at work. 12 million people have taken a little time off from work when a baby was born or a family member was sick, and we still have record numbers of new businesses, record job growth. The family and medical leave law has made us a stronger, better country. I want to see it narrowly expanded so people can go to parent-teacher conferences with their kids and take their family members to doctor's appointments. That'll make America a stronger country. You will decide. I hope you will decide to do it. You will decide whether we continue to move forward on health care reform. Just before I left Congress, we passed a law, which I've been working for hard, which says now to people, you cannot be taken, your health insurance can't be taken away anymore just because you change jobs or somebody in your family gets sick. That could protect 25 million Americans in their health insurance. And we also passed a law that says insurance companies can't force new mothers and newborn babies out of the hospital in 24 hours anymore. We're going to protect that. Now you will decide whether we adopt my balanced budget plan, which helps families that lose their jobs or between jobs keep health insurance for their children for 6 more months. That is your decision, and I hope you will decide to help us build that bridge to the 21st century. You will decide whether we keep putting 100,000 police on our street. It's led to 4 years of decline in our crime rates. You will decide whether we continue to help keep our kids away from drugs and gangs and guns and violence. You will decide whether we continue to support the Safe and Drug-Free Schools program as we have, or cut back on it as our opponents have proposed. Most important of all for these young people here, you will decide whether we make a major new commitment to guarantee every child in America a world-class education. I want you to help me do 3 things. Number 1, 40% of the 8-year-olds in this country can still not read well enough on their own. And we know if our children can't read, they can't keep learning. I propose to take 30,000 AmeriCorps volunteers and reading specialists to go across this country and mobilize 1 million volunteers to go and help the parents and the schools of this country so that by the time we start that new century, every single 8-year-old in America can pick up a book and say, I can read this all by myself. And I want you to help me do it. The second thing I want you to help me do is to make sure that we hook up every single classroom and library in the United States to the information superhighway by the year 2000. Now, if you're older like me and you don't understand all that computer stuff, let me tell you in plain language what that means. If we make sure all of our classrooms have computers, educational materials, trained teachers, and they're hooked up to the internet and the World Wide Web and all these other networks, here's what that means. It means for the first time in history, in the poorest school districts in Louisiana and Arkansas, in the most remote rural districts in the high plains of the United States, in the toughest inner city school districts, for the first time ever, in those school districts, in the middle class districts, in the rich districts, in the schools public and private, for the first time ever, every child will have access to the same information in the same way at the same time. It will revolutionize education in America, and I want you to help me do it for our children and our future. And the last thing I ask you to do is to help me open the doors of college education for all. I want to make sure every person in this country of any age who wants to go back to school can do it. I propose to give families in this country a tax credit, a dollar-for-dollar reduction on their taxes for the cost of the typical tuition at a community college or a technical school for 2 years of education after high school. I want to let families save in an IRA for years, but then be able to withdraw from it without any tax penalty if they use the money for education or buying a home or health care. And I want to give the families of Louisiana and America a tax deduction of up to $10,000 a year for the cost of any college tuition. It should not be taxed, the education of our children and of their parents as we move into the information age. Will you help me do that? Folks, when the mayor opened the program, she said that Lake Charles's motto was moving forward together. And then I saw this editorial in the morning newspaper that says, Mr. President, this area is a success. And the editorial said, oh yes, we've had some help from the federal government, but most of it we did ourselves with citizen spirit. Well, I agree with that. I agree with that. But you have to decide whether we're going to move forward together and whether the President, the Congress, and the national government are going to be your partner to help people have the tools to make the most of their own lives, to build strong careers, strong families, and strong communities. I've tried to be that kind of partner. I'm proud that this country is better off than it was 4 years ago. I'm glad we're on the right track to the 21st century, and I have run a campaign of ideas, not insults, to give you the ideas of what I will do in the next 4 years if my contract is renewed in less than 2 weeks from today. But you have to decide. You have to decide. If you want Lake Charles to move forward together, if you believe that in order to have a successful work environment, you have to move forward together, if when you go to church on Sunday, you like to be sitting there with people who are committed to moving forward and learning together, if you believe your family has to work by people working together, shouldn't your country work that way too? Shouldn't your country work that way too? You know, there's been a lot of debate about it in this country, but I believe the First Lady was right. I think it does take a village to raise a child, to build a community, to build a country, to build a future. And I want you to help us build that village. I have said all across America, I am trying to build a bridge to the 21st century that is wide enough and strong enough for all of us to walk across. Louisiana needs that bridge. My native state to the north needs that bridge. America needs that bridge. We dare not walk away from the elderly, from the frail, from those who need our help. We dare not walk away from our children and their future. We do not need to sacrifice our environment to grow our economy. All we need to do is to make a commitment to build that bridge and to move forward together. You've got the right slogan, Lake Charles. Let's live by it. Let's know that our responsibility begins by showing up on Tuesday, November the 5th to vote for it, and let's build that bridge together to the 21st century. Thank you, and God bless you.
With a little love and some tenderness, we'll walk upon the water, we'll rise above the mist.